to order for the Lodging Tax Advisory Committee on Wednesday, August 2nd. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Peggy Beeler,
Here.
Tom Denley.
Here.
Amy Rubio,
Here.
Lindsay Kerfman,
Here.
and Counselor Farmer.
Here. Okay, this is first meeting for me, and I'll probably gonna do a lot of things wrong. Things that's been done. Start on the agenda. Special meetings, September 22nd, 2020. September 29th, 2020. 2nd, 2020. 27th, 2022, June 17th, 2022, August 31st, 2022, September 7th, 2022. Is there anybody? Correction? Minutes.
I had a question on the one from the 28th, and I'm trying to find it. Do we have them here in front of us, or is it just the email that we got sent?
You have it in the, no, not in that.
Okay,
It was in the actual online packet.
the online packet there was in.
On your-
Okay. I think it was more of a question about the form that we were going to require. Them, whoever applies to fill out. Let's see, the financial data report template that Administrative Services Director Horner created. Once their projects had been finalized, I thought that we wanted to see that first before we said that we were going to require that. So that was the only thing.
Sorry, I do have the form with me here. I wasn't sure if you wanted to see it today to review it since it wasn't on the agenda, but I'm happy to provide that to you guys if you'd like.
Okay, no, yeah, I that was my only question, is I thought that we had left it that it wasn't gonna be required, but that we wanted to see the report first. So that's the only reason that I had the question on that one.
Do you wish to pull that item then?
I wish to pull that item, yeah.
Okay. You have the date for that.
June 28th, 2023.
Okay, we want to, has been asked to remove the June 28th, 2023 minutes.
I second it.
It's been seconded. All in favor, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Okay. And we'll go back to the consent agenda. Mine is June 28th. Do we have a motion to approve those?
I motion to approve those, all of the dates.
Okay. Do you have a second?
I'll second it.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to approve the rest of the minutes. Yeah. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? Okay. Do we want to discuss the June 28th one now, or do we want to put it off later?
I would like to table it. Table it.
Okay, it's tabled. Okay. We'll go to item B, review the event proposals for the lodging tax. We'll start with number 1 on the agenda, Cinco de Mayo proposal by the Sunnyside Rotary. Do we have somebody here that would like to present that?
Yes, good afternoon, everyone. And thank you, Councilman Farmer, for stepping in this position for LTAC board. Appreciate it. I just want to start with a couple things before you have any questions for me. I organized the first Cinco de Mayo on record that showed any kind of profit. Some of you may or may not know, but that profit went towards paying off the 5 years of tax debt from the Chamber of Commerce, lawyers, accountants, late fees, and the IRS. I've organized Cinco de Mayo for 3 years, 2015, 2016, and 2017. We are backed by Fiesta Foods and the Charles Horse Association for this particular Cinco de Mayo for Rotary. Though we've lost 2 Rotary members in July, we have gained 2, and we have 2 more ready to sign up. We have built-in relationships with the media, vendors, musicians, organizers for the music, and many more. Our personal team, though I don't have a page number, lists about 5 people, but we have far many more members on that personal team for us to help organize this event. I think we have minimum of about 12 to 15 Rotary members. We just have a few listed there, but we have several people ready to come forward to help with that. With the approval of the RFP for Cinco de Mayo, Rotary is proud to be carrying on the tradition of a much-loved Sunnyside event. In turn, the city would be supporting Rotary in our current traditions of community support and provide us the opportunity to support other groups or community projects. The proceeds earned would continue the success of our scholarship program, which this year we handed out $6,000 worth of scholarships. We have the scholarship team has talked about doubling that amount. So $12,000 would be a great amount to hand out to our local kids here. The Rotary swim team and charitable donations. In addition, it would provide Rotary the ability to have discussion about additional support for such programs and events as the police department for the National Night Out, Miss Sunnyside, Miss Cinco de Mayo, the Nitro Nationals, and others that would need support. Individually, these events and programs are perhaps too small for LTAC to track their contributions of economic growth, but cumulatively, they make an impact and matter to our citizens. Rotary would be able to review and consider these in ways LTAC could not.
I guess this is the time for questions and comments.
I have a couple of questions.
Sure.
So you're asking for $30,000 to put on Cinco de Mayo. And I see from your financial statement or your proposed budget that could all go towards entertainment if you wanted to, or it could go towards any of the other line items up to the total of $30,000 that's requested. What would you do differently to generate more out-of-town interest in Cinco de Mayo?
Well, we want to reach out to areas, Oregon, Idaho, even California. Cinco de Mayo brings people in from many areas. It's one of the largest Cinco de Mayo events in the Pacific Northwest, if not at all. There's many small events surrounding, Yakima, Pasco, but with the Charles Horse competition, that's a big one that draws in a lot of people. The carnival, of course, brings all the kids, so parents are here. But advertising in the movie theaters, outward Spokane area, Oregon areas, in different media outlets, newspapers, magazines, especially the Hispanic magazines, really get the attention.
Are you changing the scope of any of the events that take place or adding any events?
We certainly can. With a team as big as Rotary, we have enough people to help out and volunteer to do different things. We can do possible car shows, different musical items, bringing in kids from the high school and showcasing their talents, kids from other towns. There's a lot we can do. Rotary hasn't had a large discussion on expanding, but it's certainly something that we're very open to.
The reason I ask is that lodging tax dollars come basically from people who spend the night.
Right.
And the goal of the committee is to try to multiply those in the same time, provide economic benefit and tourism growth. And you want people from out of town to come and see what's going on. It has been suggested in the past that you could do something novel, which definitely brings people from out of the area, and that's to reenact the Battle of Puebla, which they do a Civil War reenactment up in Union Gap.
Right.
That's quite popular.
Uh-huh.
And it's something that you could involve your high school because it's history.
Right.
You could get the students and the teachers involved. It's the kind of thing that would add to this, the level of interest that would bring more people from out of town. I understand the local
Mhm.
attraction, but I would like to see more out of town folks,
Right.
not just part of the event, the vendors and so on,
Right.
but actual attendees
Right.
showing up. And I'd like that to be a goal of whoever's putting this on.
I think that's a great idea. We could easily, and if the high school couldn't do it, we could certainly bring the people down that do the reenactment up there in Union Gap to do it for us here. Specifically, the bands that are brought in the last several years, exception of last year, bring in people from all over the state and beyond states because they're very popular Mexican bands. The Latino bands don't bring in as much. They bring in local. They don't bring in the large crowds that the Mexican bands bring in. So that's one of the key areas to a large, successful Cinco de Mayo is having those bands. They are high priced, but we've been able to raise the funds in the past to bring them here.
That's good to hear.
I have a couple of things. That was one thing this committee has been eager to do in following up on what the mayor said, is looking for ways to expand the programs we have, not doing everything the same. If we go with Rotary, we would definitely have a lower cost. We would not be utilizing city employees, especially not on 27K of overtime for that. We would have more personnel because you just have the volunteers, and it's wonderful to use volunteers. Makes everybody feel included in the event. But we are looking for scope to change. I like your idea of the car show. That's a big thing. We run a local car club, but to tell the truth, the costs are, we don't have any money involved in ours. So the costs are not able to, for our car club to sponsor a car show, but I know you have found somebody and our group would be willing to help. I love using kids from the high school and from other high schools. That is just amazing. You touch someone's kid and they're going to drive into town from wherever they are to see their kids. That's just all there is to it. And I love the idea of the battle reenactment. Well, one thing to be aware of is that we're finding some of these packets to be incomplete. And so these packets will be going back. Not sure at this point if it'll be before it's submitted to council. Probably, I would think that would be the wise thing to do. But we're finding that the packets are incomplete, missing business licenses, UBI numbers, EIN numbers, critical things. Plus, we need to make sure contracts are in place. So just to make people aware, don't worry. It's something we can completely clean and clear up, but the packets are definitely missing items in them. So thank you.
I think to touch on that, I think inviting bands from other high schools would be a lot of fun if they're willing to come down, stay at the hotel, far enough away that they don't have to drive home. There's a lot of schools that have the mariachi bands. We have one here, but I know other schools have them as well. So that'd be fun to bring them in. Also, I've been a Rotary member since 2015. I've personally brought in over $150,000 for events and other things for our organization. So I'm out there all the time, somewhere. Any other questions?
More questions?
Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you.
Counselor Farmer, may I make a comment? May I make a comment?
you sure can.
In the past, we've had each member present their item, and you will be here for a while if you do that. It's up to the committee if you want each member to present their item, or if you just want to review the application and then present questions and ask them to come forward. So it's up to you guys. I just wanted to make sure to make that comment that if you allow every person to present their item, we will be here for a long time, and that's totally, it's fine with me, but it's up to you guys.
The opinion of the committee.
Honestly, I don't have a ton of time. It would be, I would think if we could go through these, and as we bring up questions, have the individual representing that organization come forward and answer the questions would satisfy me.
I agree.
I agree.
So just have each present and then,
No, so what she's saying is we will review the packet. And then if we have questions for that individual, they'll come up and answer our questions.
that'll be fine.
Is that, yeah.
Okay. So the next packet is what?
We'll have to go to the next item.
Yes. Well, that's kind of what I was wanted to do. We'll have the next presenter.
Or we're gonna review it, and then if we have questions for that, we'll ask
All
them
right,
to
all
go.
right. Okay, I'm sorry. I don't have my hearing aids in and I'm having a heck of a time today, so everybody please speak up. Okay, so we need to discuss the Rotary one then. First, is that correct? Or we have discussed it?
Right. We're looking,
Okay. Okay, so we will discuss the next one then.
Yes.
Okay? The proposal by Wanda Reyes. Do we have any comments or questions?
it took me a little while to figure out this was for the Cinco de Mayo. I think that might be partly our problem for the way that we have our package put together.
Yeah, it doesn't actually list what the event is on the first page. That's definitely something we can fix easily.
But this individual is looking for, as I understand it, looking for $30,000 to put on the event. Similar to the Rotary's proposal. I guess I would. I'm looking at this financial data from this year's Cinco de Mayo. I see his name as one of the vendors. I guess I would like to know what his specific involvement is, and I'm sorry, if I'm not clear on that. Is he a vendor himself? Is he just an involved community member? And what motivates him to want to put on the event? Is he here? Good.
Hello. I was contacted last year this year to do the Cinco de Mayo. I had 51 days to do it, the entertainment part. The reason why I decided to go to do this year's is we did it in 51 days and with quarter of the cost that it's been taken, it's for years. We looked over, reviewed those applications. We did with quarter cost. My part, I was just doing the entertainment part. So I spent $35,000 in all entertainment. Now, if you look at the past year before that, it was just entertainment itself. That's not including the sound and everything else. It was over $45,000. The reason why I want to do it, I'm from Sunnyside. I have a buy-in. And I'm also, I run a charity called La Familia. We raise money here in Sunnyside for individuals that have cancer, have people that are passing away, stuff like that. We've raised over $236,000 for family members in Sunnyside. With that, we've never taken a dollar. We have a free service. We promote. We have an auction. We sell food. We've never taken a dollar from any individual, and all of our families are from Sunnyside. In fact, we'll be doing one on the 12th for the Palomares family as well. So the buy-in, I'm from Sunnyside. I love Sunnyside. My dad's the varsity basketball coach for Sunnyside High School. Me and my buddy are the ones that started Sunnyside Junior Grizzlies, which has been a blessing to Sunnyside. We've never had over 200 students. We broke a record for that, and it's continuing to. So that's my buy-in for Sunnyside. We supported the Sunnyside High School football team. We donated $3,000 for them to attend the Sunnyside to the state tournament camp, so they can go to camp. We also were the first ones to start the car show, as you were talking about. It was a success. So we're trying different things. When we were asked to put this event on, they said, let's think out of the box. They wanted something different. If I'm sure everybody here knows our community, it's not only Hispanics, it's people from Texas as well, and they're called Tejanos. So when we were approached, they asked us, hey, do these other groups as well. We did other groups. We did the Latin stuff, and it came out, we had people coming up to us and they said, thank you for the difference. They were tired of the same old, same old. So we decided it was a good decision for us to do something like that. And we'll continue doing that because our city here is not about Hispanics or Tejanos. It's about the community. We put people, we had rock music going, we had everything because this is a community event. And we didn't want to concentrate just on Hispanics. It was a community event. And that's why we decided to go this way. And we found out this year it was a success for the music part. I have 22 years of putting on events, big events. So this is not something new to me and my team.
Do you have any ideas on how to expand the event in different ways and generate more out-of-town interest?
Actually, this year's event, we had people from California, Oregon, and Idaho attend this event, and they stayed here for the weekend. We had the car club had some people from Oregon and California. We had a band from Idaho that brought people to Idaho, and they from Caldwell, and they stayed here for the weekend. So we reached out different areas with media. So it was for me, I felt that this year, the music part that I was in charge of, I think we succeeded. I know we have a lot to learn, but I have a great team. And I have great partnerships. I partnered with the city of Sunnyside Police Department and just different members from the community. And I think our team is a strong team, and we can always build a bigger team. La Familia has over 324 people that volunteer with us, and I'm sure that half of those will help us. I'm also the one that came up with the idea, I don't know if you guys were there, of the shirts that were wore to show more presence from the city, from the volunteers. I decided to do that because of what obstacles we were going through. And we had a lot of people come up to us and say, hey, they appreciate it because it was very visible that we had a lot more people there than people thought.
Okay.
I don't have anything.
The only thing I have is yours was a packet I did review, so there are missing documents and we'll be in contact about that.
Yes, I understand.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Good to see community spirit.
Okay, we will move on to Sunshine Days proposal by A&A Promotions.
That's me.
Yes.
Oh, you guys review it and then if you have questions, you guys review it and then if you have questions, you ask.
Okay.
So I have a question. In your budget, the single largest expense is security.
Security cost is a lot of money.
Is there, I mean, this is a daytime event. Is there a reason why you put that?
So in the past, when I've paid over 29,000 for a 3-day event for just security alone.
Is that?
That was for when I did Cinco. So we are doing 3-day event this year. I did talk to Chief and because we're doing a basketball tournament, it's not going to cost us as much, but I don't have proof because we haven't got billed for September yet. But we are going to have, he said, 2 officers per day plus the drone flying. But the cost for security, it does go off of what I've done previously, and I kind of just estimated. Because I pay the highest, I think it's the highest overtime rate for the 3 days.
Should get into the security business.
Yeah.
You said this is a 3-day event.
Yeah, so this year we're doing a 3-day, or sorry, I'm doing a 2-day event this year, with Friday being a soft opening. We're gonna set out the hoops. The kids are going to do like kind of practice, and we're doing like they're calling it a shootout. So they're gonna go from different lengths and then try to make a basket. This is our first year this year that we're actually hosting a 3-on-3 tournament. We collabed with 509 Insanity.
Okay.
So yeah.
That might bring some people in.
And I will have, for the following year, I'll have a list of how many people came from where, because they have the registration forms.
I'm just curious, do you feel like you're still rebuilding this event?
Yes, that's why the first 2 years we started it, we just did 1 day with the parade vendors. And we did, well, then we encourage everybody to go to the Miss Sunnyside pageant afterwards. This year we're doing, we teamed up with the 509 Insanity. So we're doing the basketball, and then, you know, still encouraging people to go later in the evening to the Miss Sunnyside pageant.
And the dates, this is,
So the dates kind of vary just because we have to call the Yakima Farm or Yakima State Fair to make sure that they don't move their dates. So it's been kind of either the 3rd week, it's always been generally the 3rd week of September, but we do make sure that we are not in compete with the Yakima State Fair. And then I do make sure I talk to a board member on Miss Sunnyside to make sure that their dates are with my dates. Because in the past, it's always been sunshine days, and then there's the pageant in the evening.
this is 2024. You don't have specific dates yet.
No, because I have to call in the beginning of the year and ask, or sometimes they do put out. I am in contact with the lady at the state fair. But she emails me once she knows her dates.
And this is not completely a volunteer-based event, is it? You're paying staff.
Majority, my staff that we would do would be explorers, but now the Explorer program is low. So normally we would give them a donation to clean up like the garbage and stuff. This year, we have 509 Insanity, so they're doing a lot of the work. So it's gonna be a little bit different to see what the changes will be, and I think that's where that itemized thing that Jameson's gonna give us, it's gonna help show what exactly, because the amount that I request in previous years, I've never used the full amount, I'll be honest, but because we've never done a whole 3 days event or 2 days event, but because we are doing this, I'm hoping with the basketball tournament, it does do really well, and we can get back Sunshine Days back up.
According to your proposed budget, if you don't get LTAC funds, you don't have an event.
Yeah. I'm hoping with the big turnout this year, we won't have to ask for so much, but this is our first year doing the basketball tournament.
Are you done?
Oh, yeah, if his questions.
Okay, I don't have any more questions. I'm sorry.
I just have a comment. Basketball's been huge at the RV park. Anything to do with children, swimming, basketball, it's definitely brought the heads in the beds.
I do have one more question. I'm sorry. In the packet, there's a shot of the bank account and there's something blacked out.
That's my numbers, my routing number. Or account number, there you go.
Okay, thank you.
Any more comments or questions?
Do you have a goal of bringing back the carnival of any kind? And you're just waiting to see how if it builds back up?
That's my goal. I'm giving myself, hopefully this year, we'll see how it does with the basketball tournament. And how many people we get and from where, and if it's gonna be enough to bring the carnival in town.
Is there different sizes of the carnival? You know, at first, like, will they just bring a few rides? And then if we build it up bigger and bigger, that's when a lot of the rides can come back, or?
So in previous years that I've gone to different, they show me kind of like the rides that they have, and then they kind of map out what area you use, and then they can say, this is what we can fit in there.
Okay. That's it.
Any more comments or questions? Okay, we will go to the Sunnyside Rotary Lighted Farm Implement Parade.
So just to be clear, we have Rotary requesting funding for 2 of our signature events. For Cinco de Mayo and for the Farm Implement Parade.
Correct.
And different representatives. You're the Farm Implement Parade representative, right?
No,
You're gonna speak into your microphone.
Britton is the representative because when I'm here, I'm LTAC, and so that's why she answers all the questions for both of those.
Okay,
All right.
I go at the direction of the Rotary as far as organizing the beginning part of the parade.
I just saw your name on this and I thought, well, anyway, my question for you would be what, and this has been a signature event for many, many years. I deplore the fact that other communities have stolen our idea and run off with it. And some of that's on us because we should have trademarked it, but we didn't. So such is life. But what are you thinking about as far as expanding this to make it a full weekend? I read this and it says you want to do that. But that's how you bring people in from out of town, and you have to deal with weather, and people on the west side just are scared of white stuff. So
Right.
head east.
Exactly. We've some of us have had conversations with John Nybor, who runs the Children's Christmas Parade, which is the night before our event. We also can talk about doing a tree lighting event to make that a bigger event, preferably on Friday night. We had been contacted by a TV station, I think it was a CBS or ABC in California, just before COVID hit. We actually had to do a Zoom interview at City Hall in August with snowsuits on and it was really hot and to decorate the room with Christmas stuff. They were very interested in coming up and doing a show based on this event. Again, this is the biggest farm implement parade in the nation.
Yep.
So it's a really big deal. And I think reaching back out to those stations, coming up and doing another show. We were on A&E years ago. It'd be nice if they could do a touch-up show on that. I think we should do hay rides and all kinds of things. There's a lot we can add to this event. And with our interest in Rotary, people wanting to join now, I think we can do a lot of those things. We had a downtown Christmas market, which Lindsay had put on for 2 years. Exceptionally successful. The vendors sold out every single time. It was a lot of work, but it was worth it. I think that we can. And those vendors come from out of state. A lot of those are from out of state. Some are local, but some are out of state. I think we can revisit that. Make it a longer weekend. I know Festival of Trees, I think the hospital is thinking of changing that date. I can't confirm that right now, but that was usually on a Friday night. If they're even having it this year. But yeah, I think that we want to expand on this and make this even more large. Invite the Seattle news teams out, Spokane news teams out, let them stay at the hotel and have them come and do a show. Not just have our local radio stations, the KXDD, do our show for us.
So culinary contests tend to attract a lot of attention.
Mhm.
And some of the things that could be done, you could do a gingerbread house contest. If you give cash prizes, people show up.
Oh, yes,
You could do a hot chocolate contest. If you spike it, people will show up.
right.
So there are all kinds of things that can be added to this. You just have to have venue and you have to have the idea and you've got to have the follow through, the promotion and the follow through.
Right.
Is that something that the Rotary would be willing to at least receive suggestions on?
It is. From what I remember, we've always implemented a cookie decorating for the kids with Mrs. Claus. But there's more we can do with that, especially with all of our local restaurants. We can have a panel of judges and do a Christmas cookie contest or any kind of a drink or food item, Christmas item. But yeah, absolutely. And we can put that on TV. We can get the TV
Bobby
station.
Flay to come to a throwdown.
We can figure something out. Yeah.
Okay.
Well, I have to tell you, the market was amazing. My
Mhm.
husband may not think so because I went shopping and had a great time, but the products were unique and it was nice doing it in cooler weather instead
Right.
of in the hot sun looking at the
Yeah.
markets. It was amazing. Hay rides. One of my favorite places in the world, Demopolis, Alabama, when we did parades down there at Christmas time.
Mhm.
We did hay rides with the kids and families. It was a huge success. Don't use cotton. It gets everywhere.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
throw the coat
Well,
away.
we might have to do sleigh rides instead of hay rides. I'm thinking about the wrong time. We could figure something out, but getting the kids, Lindsay had put on the market and she did an excellent job. She put a lot of time and effort into it. And like I said, the vendors all sold out. That was not something we talked about yet for this year, but I think that there's things we can do in place of that. Because what it did was it brought people out all day long, not just at night for the parade.
Any further comments or questions? Thank you. Now to make sure I'm doing it right, we're gonna go to item C.
Yes.
Okay. Review the proposals received for the 2024 lodging tax funds and consider recommendations to the city council for approval. Number one is the Miss Sunnyside Committee and the Sunnyside Community Float.
Jackie, I have a question. Do we approve the signature events first and then go to the other ones, or?
It's up to you, however you want to do it.
I would say we get everything on the table first.
Okay.
I would be also,
It would too.
okay. Any further comments on this one?
The number one, the Sunnyside Community Float? Or are we waiting to get to that one?
Do we have to do a motion for it, or this is just a recommendation?
You're just reviewing them still, so you're on number one, Miss Sunnyside, the community float. So any questions on that item?
Yes.
So I have comments. Anybody who's been around here long enough can tell you exactly what I'm going to say. The community float is something that has come before this committee for many, many years, and we have instructed the community float to go and find funding elsewhere, not because the community float is a bad idea, but the community float is a civic pride issue. It's not necessarily a lodging and tourism generating issue. And so we did not believe that it was appropriate for us to fund the community float. City council would sometimes overrule us. My position on that has not changed. I do not have a problem with the float. I think it's a great idea and would be happy to support it personally and through the business that I represent. But I don't think it is appropriate for lodging tax dollars to be spent to support the float. End of comment.
I was on the committee probably 10 years ago, and we told them then this is the last year. And so I was surprised when I got back on to find that we were still doing it. I think it's wonderful. There definitely is advertisement of Sunnyside on there, but there's X amount of dollars, and we have to make them stretch as far as we can. And I also personally, and on behalf of my business, would like to volunteer funds, but I also don't think this is an LTAC item.
I have a little different take on it. When I go to a parade, that's one of the things I look at is the community float. And I think we need to support our float as much as we can. I can see your point of view, but I think we need to make our float beautiful. We got beautiful girls, good girls that sit on it. I want to come forth with Sunnyside. Hey, we're not afraid to advertise ourselves, and I think the float is a big advertisement. So I kind of want to disagree a little bit there.
Armored. How does that put heads in beds? How does that get somebody at my RV park?
Pardon?
How does that get somebody in my RV park?
Well, we have
To date, nobody's ever come.
we have people that come to our parade and they're going to see our float. We're going to put Sunnyside's name out there that we're a community in this valley, and I think it does advertise Sunnyside, and if you advertise Sunnyside, we are going to get people that come and stay in our motels, eat in our restaurants, go shopping in our stores.
Thank you.
I'd like to say I've seen a big improvement. And I know we've made suggestions in the past. I have noticed that they've been promoting more on their social media. That the girls have. They've been going to a lot of events, even for parades when they're at parades. They do give out parade applications. They are, they're going to different events, not just here locally, but I do follow them on social media. So I do see that they are promoting Sunnyside, whether they come for our event or they just come just to check out Sunnyside on another time. We don't have proof of that, but I have noticed a big improvement from what they have, and they do advertise our 3 signature events on their float.
Let me add a thought here. If we're to be good stewards of these funds, what we want to do is we want the funds to create more funds. And to generate this, in this instance, $10,000 in lodging tax dollars that can be given to a float, it takes $250,000 of lodging revenue to generate that. And I would submit to you that the float doesn't generate $250,000 worth of lodging revenue.
It does not.
Well, I can agree with you on the amount. I can definitely agree with you on the amount, but I do think the city should.
I think one thing that's missing is this was supposed to be seed money to get them started and then be independent. And that seed money has certainly been supplied. That's also one thing to keep in mind. I can definitely see the benefit in some advertising. I do not dispute that at all. And thank you for mentioning that. But it is not sound financial sense to continue to fund this. Just looking at it from a funding point of view, not an emotional point of view.
But the fun part of this is you don't all have to agree.
That's exactly right.
Okay, any more comments?
Don't have anything.
All right, we'll move on to the next one. The American Legion Post 73, the Jerry Taylor's Veteran Plaza. Do we have any questions or comments on that?
Yes, I have some. So this is a request for $12,000, and I believe this is for 2 walls. Is that correct, Greg? And these are the black granite, or are these the gray walls? Gray walls. So you're building the complementary side?
What do you mean by?
I'm just remembering there was supposed to be black walls and gray walls.
Well, we just reached a point where, you know, I guess just in the way of building veterans memorials, we're just up to the point where we had an opportunity because of COVID that, the granite company in Seattle said, hey,
We'll make you a deal.
purchases of granite have dropped worldwide, and we can make you a deal, you know. And I just thought, you know, hey, this is something we should take advantage of, you know. Not very many good things come because of COVID.
Uh-huh.
So. But we still, going back to your comment about the black walls. We only have 6 more black walls to put up, and that finishes that entire phase. And then the gray walls will only go up as people order plaques. So probably the growth of the memorial will start to slow down, you know, at that point. But we have 6 more black walls, and we'll probably ask the LTAX funding to help us fund half of those. So I only anticipate maybe 3 more times ever coming back and asking for more funds, you know, like, unless it's something minor or something, but
So this is something that is unique to this community. There's no other community in the Northwest that has anything like it. I think you have to go far east, and maybe even as far as Washington, DC, to see this kind of a veterans memorial. And it's something that we can take and use to generate public interest, to generate tourism interest. And I think you have heard some of the suggestions. You have events associated with Pearl Harbor Day, or you have had events associated with Pearl Harbor Day, with Veterans Day. Are you thinking about doing anything for 4th of July and Memorial Day?
well, now that we're kind of past these last 3 years of COVID and we're trying to get back in gear, you know, and yeah, we hope to, you know, we do a big Memorial Day program, but that's at the cemetery.
Mhm.
And that's basically a 3-day event, starting with Saturday morning at 6 o'clock in the morning, putting out about 2,000 flags at the graves, you know, so it's and then it doesn't end until 6 o'clock Monday, when we go out and pick up all of those flags and sort them, clean them, package them again. So it's Memorial Day is for all the veterans groups working together. That is our main event. But yeah, I think we'd like to get back to July 4th at least, adding that to our event. But we also have the dedication of walls. That is another event that takes place every other year. You know, and we get a lot of people come in from that, just because so many people that order a plaque are not from the Lower Valley, maybe not even from the state of Washington anymore. They may have grown up here, but I recently got a call just a couple months ago from a gentleman in Florida that said he read about the Veterans Memorial in a veterans magazine and was just amazed and said that him and his friend were going to come here this summer and take a look at it, order a plaque like that. But I would say at least 50% of our plaques are from people that when we do out the mailing, it's they're from out of the area, at least 100 miles away. You know, California, Alabama, I mean, they're Wisconsin, they're from, and I get a lot of calls right when summer starts because people want to know, is the plaque they ordered going to be there? Because this is their class reunion. They're thinking about coming if their plaque is there, you know, and things like that. And so it's kind of a very quiet way that it attracts people. Mostly it's from people who probably have some connection to Sunnyside, but they've long ago, 50 years ago or plus, have moved away and probably just trying to find a reason to come back, I guess. But
Have you had any success in talking with the Oregon National Guard and getting them to send planes? Because the pageant of the military is spectacular. And that's the kind of thing that turns people's heads.
I'm not aware of this. Say that it's the
If you were to contact the Oregon National Guard, they've got
Oregon.
yeah, down at the Portland Airport. And you see them from time to time buzzing here through the valley, having a lot of fun. But if you were to tell them on December 7th, we would like you to time your flyover, do missing man formation, all kinds of things that touch people's hearts and cause us
Good
to
idea.
remember. And people will come to be a part of that. So those are just ideas that we can take this asset and we can turn it into something that turns into people from out of town coming and visiting Sunnyside and having an experience that they will never forget.
Yeah, when Les Amundsen passed away, I don't know if you guys remember him, a POW from Sunnyside, died in 2017. Jim Honeyford tried to get a flyover from the Air
Right?
National Guard out of Oregon, but we didn't contact them early enough to let them know. But that's a good point. Yeah, I've kind of forgot about the fact that we had went that route before and just kind of dropped the ball. But yeah, I think that would be very inspirational.
There's lots of things that can be done with this asset. Lots and lots of things to honor the folks who basically gave everything for this country.
Well, just to add to that, I invite everyone who has not reviewed that video from the Brooks Tourism Company in 2018 to go back and review that and see what they said as to how this Veterans Memorial should be the centerpiece of Sunnyside in all of their tourism, in their restaurants and all that type of stuff like that. So there's a lot our whole community can do to come around. And like I say, if you haven't seen that Brooks Tourism, just go to YouTube, Brooks Tourism Sunnyside. It's fairly long, but it tells a lot about what our town can do to improve tourism.
I actually do get visitors that come specifically to see that, a lot of them. And then on the other side of that, when we have people in town, we give out a little gift bag with people that check in. And one of the things we say is, if you're at all interested, please go see this wonderful, amazing thing. So it affects not only the tourists that come from all over the United States, to come see it, because there's actually groups that in their retirement, that's what they do, is they go from location to location looking at these memorials. So it's very important. I just came from Water Follies this weekend. The air show was amazing. seeing the, antique warplane and the new fighters going side by side, their wings looking like they're inches away from each other was, feeling that roar go through you. It was amazing. But I'd like to see it not be, like you said we're just in our quiet way. I'd like to see this expand. Start screaming. It's a little too quiet. We definitely promote you, but we'd like to see this advertised, a Facebook page. I don't know what all, but we'd love to see this go beyond just Sunnyside's quiet way for past Sunnyside people to live here. This is a huge treasure to the community.
Yeah, thank you.
I had the opportunity in my business to drive by that several times a day. And the amount of people that come and visit that memorial would be outstanding. And there's no way of quantifying how many beds you get off of that, but I do see Oregon cars, I do see California cars, I do see an Idaho car every once in a while. It's a rose in our community, and we need to cultivate it and let it grow.
Yeah, you guys might have noticed along the plaza there, I planted some big yellow rocks. That's the old what's it called?
Yellowstone.
Yeah, the old Yellowstone Trail goes right through Sunnyside. There's another thing we don't tell anybody, but if you go by the plaza and you look across on the sidewalk, you'll see Yellowstones for a couple blocks in each direction. And they have little signs on them say old established, old Yellowstone Trail established, I think 1921. But so I've tried to use that as something that might catch somebody's attention, because there are groups that like to travel these old 410 highways, the Yellowstone Trail, the old Inland Empire Highway. And so I wanted to make sure if they got the Sunnyside, they would know they were on one. I don't know. Any more questions?
Any more comments or questions?
No.
Okay. We will go to number 3, Sword for the Cause. Do we have any comments or questions on that?
I know that this does generate out of town guests. I don't have a firm number on this. In the past, I know it has been a decent number. And we had asked in the past if there were other things that could be done to stimulate, I guess, the entertainment factor, and had suggested maybe events that involve children like mutton busting and so on. What do you think about that?
We actually are thinking about doing a youth class. So the kids would actually have their own separate class to sort the cattle on. So they would bring their horses and compete. Now they compete in the novice class. So we're considering this next year just having a youth class, so the kids would just compete against themselves on their own horses. Because most of the kids that come there can ride. They have their own horses. So they'd be more interested in riding their horses than like doing it on foot or that type of thing. Actually, I think most of those kids can probably ride better than the adults. So they're pretty good riders, most of them. And we do try and keep our costs down. The Sunnyside community has supported Sword for the Cause. Donated this year, we had 210 head of cattle donated from Horse Heaven Cattle Feeders. We had 22 big bales of hay, a water truck, Specs Arena, Cliff Septic donated all the porta potties, Yakima Waste donated 2 dumpsters. Our webmasters donates their time. So we do try to keep our costs down for our event.
Do you see an increase in audience, people who are They're not riders. I'm not a rider. I'd get killed out there.
Right. On Saturday evening, we have a live auction and we promote that on our Facebook page. We invite the whole community to come to that, which also we Calcutta our top 10 open teams, which are our better riders. And so they're welcome to come and they bid, and the parking lot is packed. People start coming in about 5, that starts at 5. And there's a lot of people that come in Saturday evening for that event. We actually rented rooms for all our volunteers at the Best Western. We had about 13 volunteers and they stayed 3 nights. So there was about 39 rooms that we paid for at the Best Western. And it was sold out because I tried to get somebody a room Saturday night and they had 1 room left and we got it. So for someone to decide not to drive home.
And there are other hotels in the community.
Yes, and we can surely spread that around. This year, we were able to donate $96,000 from our event. We donated to Wellness House, the Children's Wishes and Dreams, and Heartlinks Hospice. In the 12 years that Sword for the Cause has been in Sunnyside, to the community, we have donated $756,000 to our community. So we are generating money to give back to the community. That's what our event is all about.
And that's a question I have. You're giving away more than you're asking for, so why come to us?
Actually, you help cover, I have an expense sheet here. I made up this expense sheet. And so we spent $2,500. You guys gave us, I believe, $5,000 last year. We spent $2,500 of that for advertising. Our rooms, we spent to pay for some of our rooms with that. We actually had to some expenses of sound system, that other items. So total last year, we spent $10,075 for our expenses to put our event on. So like I say, we try and reach out so we can give more money away. Basically, that's what our event is, to try and give as much money away we can. So your guys' support helps us give that much more away. Yes.
Self-sufficient.
Yes, we are trying to stay very efficient.
You're doing a wonderful job.
No, thank you. We really, I'm a 2-time cancer survivor. And so it means a lot to me to be able to do this for the community.
Amazing.
So under expenses, you have advertising 4,245. Is that your total advertising for the event, or I'm looking at this, your banking summary?
Oh, last year we spent 1,000 with Stevens Media, 500 with Town Square Radio, 1,000 with Sinclair. My sister did that, so she may be also incorporating the event flyers. That she's probably adding all that in as advertising.
Okay. I was just trying to, because that's what I compared it to, that we gave you 5,000 and it was almost 5,000 used on advertising, and that's a big thing for us. But I did notice on the handout that is in here that last year we did have the city of Sunnyside on there. And then this year it's not though. But where is it?
Right here, it says City of Sunnyside.
Oh, it's listed. I see. Okay. There it is.
And you are actually on our TV ad,
Okay.
and on our radio ad, it says that you guys are our title sponsor.
Okay. I did see it on the TV ad. That's why I
Okay.
was curious because I
Yeah.
didn't see it here, but now I see
We
it.
try and promote you guys too as title
Okay.
sponsors.
Great.
So anyway, thank you guys so much for everything you've done for us in the past too. We totally appreciate it.
Welcome.
Any more comments or questions?
No.
That's all I had. I'm good.
Okay, we will move on to item 4. Insanity Sports Program, the Valley 509 Shootout Basketball Tournament.
Can I suggest that we look at the next 4 as one?
I would agree with that.
Yeah, I agree.
Yes.
And if I'm reading this correctly, we have an April tournament, we have a June tournament, we have an August tournament, and we have, I believe, an October tournament. And I looked and none of those weekends are what I would call sellout weekends, so it's good timing for those. I am not familiar with, I guess they put one of these on last year, did they not?
Yeah, and that, I don't see anybody hear from them, and I did have a question, because on here, they don't have anything for sponsors, so are they not receiving sponsorship from anybody? And then I looked and they use themselves as references, so I was wondering if they had any other references besides themselves.
I had one other question, and this just might be the black and white copy that I have, but I have no dollar amounts.
Jackie sent it in the email, because it was, or it's here, but it was sent because it said it was in black and white, or they made a black and white copy and not color.
How much are they asking for each one of these?
If you look at the agenda cover sheet, it'll tell you how much for each event. So,
Okay, thank you.
yeah, it looks like they made a black and white, like Amy said, a black and white copy, and then they made 6 more copies because their first copy shows the amount. So,
Well, by the time it got to me, it's pretty washed out. Okay. So they're asking them, the maximum they're asking for is the Hardwood Classic. That's 4,000. Which one is that? Is that the October? That's the October one. Good timing. Good timing. All right. Okay. And I don't think any of these, if you look at the dollar amount that is being requested, and you look at the amount of revenue that's necessary to generate this dollar amount, I'll take, for instance, number 5, the one that's $4,000. You need $100,000 worth of lodging revenue to generate $4,000 of lodging tax. I don't think any of these would generate that kind of revenue in a weekend, but they are generating revenue and they're the kind of thing that can grow. So I like this type of LTAC requests, because these are directly adding to the fund.
It's like we said before, this is the seed money to get them started to then hopefully grow and be independent at some point in the future. And I know Tom has spoken about, he's had people in the hotel. We've had people in the RV parks. Matter of fact, we always open it up, make sure to have a big bonfire that night and s'mores. And even if they're not staying in the park, we invite them to come in and use the pool. And Martin is most unhappy that he's heating a pool in October, but his wife is not. And yeah, and so it's awesome. But these packets are definitely missing the majority of the items needed.
Yeah, there's some form and some substance. There's substance here, but I think there's some form missing.
Yeah.
So
I just didn't notice the proof of insurance is the only thing that I didn't find.
Did you see the business license and let's see what else? I didn't actually audit that one. I just noticed it's so small. Articles of incorporation, ownership statement, current business license, tax ID, UBI.
They're a nonprofit, though.
Oh, nonprofit. So then there's even more.
There is, but I have it marked up here, so they had to have been here and somewhere. I have
Nonprofit incorporation paperwork.
yes, and I have the the UBI. I have actually do have the business licensing services, because I know that even with Sunnyside, the nonprofit business, so I see that.
Have they been previously funded?
Yes.
Don't have the event income statement. I haven't audited, I haven't looked at this one yet for what's missing or what's in there. But so the income paperwork just looking at it now, wasn't there. And I don't know if their certificate of nonprofit, if their federal exempt status paperwork, if their current form 990 is in there.
Are these AAU?
Yes.
So the proposal, the budget should show projected income from the teams, because the teams, when they register, have to pay. And I understand that this is not complete.
And when it,
From my understanding, they're insured through AAU, but they're a group. And then they have other kids, but I could be wrong, I'm going off of what I remember from last time.
How do they promote themselves?
509 Insanity.
Are they on the AAU website, or are they? totally
I
separate?
think they get their own insurance from what I was told by them. But I can't speak for them because I don't want to misspeak and it's not the correct information.
So my understanding, and I see this a lot at the property that we have up in Yakima, is that AAU, Inland Empire AAU, is a blanket organization. There are a number of people who sponsor events.
Mhm.
And if this is one of the groups that's sponsoring an AAU event, there's not a thing wrong with it. What they do is they can use the platform to promote the event and have people register through that platform. So there's some value there to it, but I guess the question is, are they AAU sponsored or not? Right? Are they an AAU affiliated event, or are they totally separate from it? It makes a difference as to the reach that they have.
Yes. So then I think there's questions that we all have, and without somebody here, it's going to be hard to get them answered. So I'm not sure if I can motion, but I guess I just propose that we table this, and can we ask for them to for one, so your question was, Tom, if they are AAU,
How do
if
they
they promote themselves?
Yeah.
Okay. And then the question that I had, because I did see, we did fund them last year, so I would like to see the income statement from last year, because it says their statement is they had no income from the prior event, but then it says that their event was held in 2019. So I think this was just paperwork from the previous form. So that's what I would like to see.
And I have a quick, Jackie, previous when we did fund them, did they submit receipts? Because I thought that they didn't turn anything in, or am I mistaken?
So they turned in receipts, they've turned in 3 and that was last week. So that was 2 for rentals of the gyms and then 1 for the refs. Or they call them something else, but it's the refs. So they've submitted 3 so far.
Okay.
that's one thing we want to kind of do is audit, make sure that these get audited. We've recently found out that none of our LTAC funds get audited. And so we need those receipts if they've been previously funded before, to make sure that they're staying in compliance, and just this daily business of government, actually.
They do get reviewed, if that's what you're saying. The receipts get reviewed. We submit them to finance. I mean, am I wrong?
Jameson said she'd never done an audit on one.
That's correct. I had not, but I have only been here for 2 years, but all city funds and LTAC money, the tourism fund is a city fund, are audited every single year. I was just speaking about the specific programs and going over what they requested funding for and whether or not those receipts matched. So the expenditures and the financials of all of city funds are audited on an annual basis.
And I believe you said that not all had contracts written. Some of our, again, it's the daily business of government that got a little loose, and that not all of these ended up being in compliance with contracts and things.
All of them have contracts.
That's not what
I
Jameson
I
said.
can correct that. There was the intention of getting a contract for this year's Cinco de Mayo, but those funds weren't necessarily used directly for the vendor that the contract is in reference to. He wasn't the applicant. So there is a vendor that was supposed to have a contract, but it doesn't necessarily relate to the LTAC funds. They didn't have a contract or an award through LTAC.
I'll let the city straighten this out.
Okay, so,
I'm happy to answer those questions at any other time in my office.
okay. So I motion that we table anything from 509 Insanity with those questions. They come back for that one, and then we move on to the next item.
I second that.
Well, before we do that, were they not just seated in the audience here?
No.
No,
Okay. That was different folks, right?
Can I see, is anyone online representing 509 Insanity? There's a Samsung on here and I just want to make sure it's not them. Again, if anyone is online representing 509 Insanity, please let us know.
Brave new world,
I don't think they're here, so.
big brother.
okay,
It has been moved to table 509. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, moved and seconded. Any discussion?
I have Amy as second,
Yes.
seconding that motion.
Yeah.
No, okay.
And the only thing I would suggest is let's get them information, let's get them getting us information ASAP.
What is, last time you requested, you had a deadline. Do you have one now for them?
I think just give them a week,
A week?
like we
Yeah.
normally do.
Oh, we want to encourage them, but we need more information. And somebody who can answer some of these questions.
and I would say funds, because I'm not sure the last event that they had, but any of the income statements from any of the events they've already had.
Okay.
Excuse me.
All right, so noted, I have that you will allow them a week, which is August 9th, to provide, to let you know how, if they're affiliated with AAU, how they promote themselves, and to provide an income statement for any of their past events.
As well as the projected revenues for the upcoming events.
Projected revenues.
Those are in here.
Didn't see them in what I had. Am I looking in the wrong place?
All their information is in their first packet.
And the missing information on the required attachments, whatever that might be.
So
Oh,
in the
yes.
first, well, help me out then. In the first packet, where's
So sorry.
the information on the upcoming events? This is the one that is the 509 shootout, right?
So yeah, 509 shootout on the back of their, where it has their EIN number from the IRS, the back of that, they gave,
Okay, thank you. I
Yep.
see it. So scratch that, Jackie. We don't need the,
Got it.
would have been nice if it was on the sheet with the expenses, but that's all right.
Okay. So there was a motion, a second, and just need a vote on that.
Okay. Been moved and seconded. All in favor? Aye. Aye. Opposed? Passes. Sunnyside Police Department National Night Out. I can say that I attended all three of them last night. I think there was a lot of hard work put in. I assume it was very successful. I saw a lot of people.
So I want to encourage the police department any way I possibly can. Because we need you. There's no doubt about it. but I don't see that this is something that is appropriate for LTAC dollars. I don't see that. I think that the community can generate this money for you other ways. Come talk to me.
Any more comments? It doesn't, I don't think there's too many people are gonna drive in here, stay in a hotel to go to National Night Out. So I don't think it quite meets all the requirements that's needed.
And it's not, I don't know, do you see they're using it for other events too, not just National Night Out? They're also, they include a trunk or treat and then I believe shop with a cop. Is that in there? Or can I ask him, or I'd like to ask if that's correct?
Actually, a movie in the park is
Oh,
the
movie in the park.
big event that we were hoping to sponsor with that, so. I understand the concerns, so.
One of the defining moments of my life was to spend one night in the back of a police car when I was 18 years old in the city of Los Angeles, getting education from a friend of mine. He was the city attorney and the judge pro tem, and he knew the officers, and he arranged for me to ride along. Let me tell you what.
Change the course of your life?
I will never forget that night, the things I saw. So I salute you.
Thank you, thank you. I'll stand for any other questions anybody may have, but
I'd like to say that I'm happy that the police department is taking National Night Out back for next year.
yep, that's our plan for next year. And you'll probably see more like it was traditionally, where there are neighborhood parties, probably like 20 of them put on, hosted by a representative of that neighborhood. And then I've already talked with the neighboring police chiefs about having a kickoff party that's moved around that we get like every 4 years. That's what we used to do. So Friday, we have a big event. But that event that is this Friday would be ours, and the next year Grandview's, the next year Granger, the next year Mabton, and then it would rotate back to us. I know that Grandview's already said we'll probably default on ours and you can run it the year that we have it, but okay, whatever. So
How to get up to it.
I enjoy helping. I helped last night, and I manned the PD table for them, but that was fun. A lot of people had fun. I'm pretty sure with the fireworks, there was a lot of calls.
yeah, that
Yeah, we saw them running, but a lot of the kids liked the movie. But I do like that you guys are taking it back only because I do like to help Pastor Bob also and the different block parties. And I do like helping the PD with their main big one also.
yeah, we do have a lot of good community support. This was just looking for a funding source.
Understood.
It was worth a try. Thank you.
I want to make sure, I retired from the police department. I retired from Tacoma Police. So I am very well aware of, shop with a cop, even the volunteer hours, the money involved. Your families come in and work countless hours. It's amazing. So I know you used to go to the community. We used to be called every year and asked for money, and we gave every year. Please call us again.
Okay, thank you. I appreciate that. Thank you.
We have any more comments?
No.
Okay. We'll move on to number 9, Yakima Valley Tourism Sunnyside Marketing Project.
Do you have a question, though, with only 30 minutes left? Where are we going to have enough time to discuss this? Is my question, because this has taken us a couple of hours before. So, okay, I just wanted to make sure because we still have the Washington Nitro Nationals also. So I didn't
Want
know,
to skip to that one?
I didn't know if we want to skip to that one, so we can, and then
That's a great idea. Although hopefully we got all that stuff ironed out, but
Out of
still,
order, but
probably a
yes.
good idea.
okay.
I would like to do this at a different meeting, just because there's so much that goes into it, and it does take up a lot of time to go through it.
That's great.
So are you suggesting that we do these last two at a different meeting and talk about the ones we've already discussed? Or are you suggesting that we finish going through all of these and we talk about recommendation to the council at a different meeting?
I'm suggesting that we do the Yakima Valley Tourism just because it's more in depth, that we always take longer in it.
In a separate meeting and
Yes.
continue. Let's do Washington Nitros now, and then we'll do a separate meeting just for Yakima Valley Tourism.
We can do that. I do have one question. I think your Samsung is probably Stephanie Gangle.
That is me.
Like I said,
Stephanie and Jennifer.
He's always there, bless her heart.
Yeah.
and I have
We're
one
both-
question which they could answer or not, if you want.
Go for it.
Where in the budget is the website development and management? Is that in that $33,000 figure, or is it?
Yes. That is down below on that budget sheet. And I know that budget sheet is really, really small because it's typically printed to a much bigger piece. But yeah, the marketing management fee includes all of that because the website's already built. And it's then being maintained by Daniel. So right now it's text and photos basically as far as that's concerned. Your domains and your hosting fees for the $315, that's right now just a proposed fee because it's so early. We don't have all the hard set fees just yet, but we went above what was proposed for 2023 and increased it by 5% just to make sure we didn't miss anything. But yeah, that 33,000 is what's going to cover that with the website maintenance and the updates, but then also cover the development and the management of the other parts of the entire project. And as you'll see, everything, if it makes it easier, everything is pretty much an exact repeat of 2023. So laying the groundwork and then taking the next year or two to build on that. So if that's helpful, it's stuff that's already been discussed and approved. We're just going to maintain it so we can keep building on what we have been working on the last couple of years.
Well, I want to be sensitive to Lindsay, so that was my question. And I
Yeah.
think we could move
Mhm.
to the next one. All right.
Do we have any further comments or questions?
For which one?
Okay,
Now we can move on.
And
Okay.
Washington Nitro Nationals.
Yep.
we will move on to number 2, Washington Nitro Nationals LLC.
This one's a tough one for me, and I'll tell you why. I'm an RV park. It's my business. He's Washington Nitros. It's his business. And he's coming and asking for money. He does not reside in Sunnyside, although that is not a requirement. He doesn't collect LTAC. He doesn't pay into LTAC. This is just his business expense. I have a chili feed at the RV park. You want to hand me 50,000 a year or whatever amount it is? I just struggle. And the reason why I think it's even possible to consider it is because he does advertise, but I advertise as well. This is a very unique situation where this is a for-profit business that is doing its routine business. But he just happens to be in a tourism-related field. And I think it's an amazing success. I absolutely adore going. I'm a car nut. I'm a motorcycle nut. I'm an ATV nut. I'm a boat nut. Can't even tell you how many things are parked at the house. It's getting full. This is just a win-win-win for me as far as an event. I just struggle. I actually contacted the state to see if it was even legal for somebody to not be paying into the LTAC funds and be part of this to collect the funds then, because this is a unique tourism business. But it's like Kentucky Fried Chicken saying, we're going to have a sale on Friday and we'd like some money. Why would we do that?
Their comments. My concerns around this event have not been so much, I mean, I share your concerns there. My concerns were more the amount that's requested and the return on the investment. And I did a little bit of research. And last year, there actually were about 66 rooms at the Best Western. There may have been some at some of the other hotels from this event. So it did generate out-of-town stays.
That's
And that's part and parcel of what we're trying to do. We're trying to grow the fund. But I don't see, it was the figure that I came up with was about $7,200 in revenue. So $7,200 generates, what is it? Like $300 in lodging tax, which is going to be nothing to these folks. They are self-sufficient. They generate, according to this, they generate quite a bit of money, which is good.
amen.
And I know the idea is for them to advertise with these dollars. Good idea. But they're going to advertise an event that's not generating a lot of out-of-town business for us. Not none, but it's not generating $30,000 worth of LTAC fees worth of business. So, and the fact that they're self-sufficient, I guess my comment is they see a pot of money here, they're going to ask, why not? Other people do, but I would not suggest funding it.
I think LTAC is to put heads in beds. And I think that the amount of people that they draw, they're not all going to come and stay in Sunnyside. Let's don't be naive about that.
Most stay there.
But we are going to get heads in beds, and we are going to get restaurants, and we are going to get stores. We probably are going to get fuel, and we're going to get our name out there. You know, they might come and say, hey, we went to this event. What about, they did such a good job. Maybe we ought to see another event. We're getting our name out there. I think, in my opinion, this is money well spent.
I disagree. Like I said, it would be like me asking for my chili feed for $20,000. That's their business, is advertising for a tourism related event. It's a unique situation. It's a for-profit business. He's making the money. I don't think that is what LTAC funds are for in any way, shape, or form.
Since I see you there, John, how are you? You and I have a long history of probably not so much. Well, anyway, have you gone to the Tri-Cities and asked them for money?
No.
You're probably equidistant to them as you are to Sunnyside.
Sure, Yakima as well, and Toppenish and all the other communities. This originally started out in 2011 as an event that was billed as Yakima. I got involved and I said, it's not Yakima, it's Sunnyside. Number one reason, it is in Sunnyside and it's a benefit to our community. We bring people in from all over the country, not just locally. So eventually they started agreeing with me, and next thing you know, it's everything that we do is billed as Sunnyside, 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 Sunnyside. Heads and beds, 50 miles away or greater. Those are the requirements. I don't know if it makes a hill of beans a difference whether it's profit or not for profit, because what I've read about LTAC funds, it doesn't matter if it's for profit or not for profit. Your goal is to bring heads and beds, increase tourism, and benefit the community. She's mentioning that that Kentucky Fried Chicken is going to have a sale on chicken. This isn't the same. You're having a chili feed. It's not the same. Our goal is to bring in people from 50 miles away or greater. We're doing that. Our goal is to put heads in beds. You just said the heads and beds. Every year there's been heads and beds. This year alone, it started with my partner coming in on Sunday, and as Sunday went into the week, more of his team members came in. So I know there was at least 15 members of the immediate party that stayed in your hotel. you guys talk about all these other events, and it seems to me the only time the calculations come out is when it comes to our event or an event that you don't like. Cinco de Mayo, you can't prove any heads and beds. I'm all about Cinco de Mayo. I'm all about sort for the cause. I'm all about any event in this community that is trying to generate tourism and show Sunnyside in a positive light. The fact that we're making money, no, we're not actually making money. We're spending money, we're paying our bills, we're trying to generate tourism. We have now applied with the county, and now we're going to be the only ORV park in Yakima County. There is no ORV park in Yakima County. So not only are we building up our event, we're now building an event or a facility that's going to bring in tourism. The fact that it's a conflict with that we have dry camping out there and you have an RV park, can't really say anything that I'm sorry. We will promote any event, any business that wants to be involved with us, we will promote that. And we did promote that at one time or another. And then you guys took a different stance. Good for you. It's just puzzling to me. The AMA is the largest and the oldest motorcycle sanctioning body in the world. Now they are our sanctioning body. They will have their own video company that comes out and film our event, which again does what? Promotes our community. It's puzzling. It really is. It's puzzling to me that what we're trying to do is promote our community. And by the way, somebody made a comment that I don't reside in this community. Somebody said something about not residing in this community. I reside in this community, our events in this community.
Not collecting LTAC funds.
So what?
This is
The Cinco de Mayo is not collecting LTAC funds. Yakima Tourism is supposedly collecting LTAC funds. They're not collecting LTAC funds. They're collecting a lot of money to promote our community. And I was at City Hall and I picked up the visitors pamphlet. There's not but a paragraph in that visitors pamphlet that you guys are paying close to $100,000 for to promote our community. It kind of seems like a contradiction to terms there. I'm not here to argue with you guys, but I just listened to it over and over again. And all we're trying to do is promote our community, heads and beds, 50 miles away or greater. One year I prevented the riders roster with over 200 people that didn't live in this community and came to our event. It seems to me like for the most part, we're checking the boxes. So what? So what that we're making money? If we are, according to Peggy, we're making money. We were shuttered for 2 years. We're trying to get back on track. And that was a nail in our coffin. We're trying to get back on track. We're about Sunnyside. Everything we do is about Sunnyside. People come to the restaurants. They may not stay at Sunnyside RV Park. That's not our intention.
Well,
We tried to promote it in the past.
I tell you what I'm going to do. I'm not going to vote on this issue. So there you go. But I'm still going to state my opinions.
Well, that's fine. But
And
it
so-
seems like a narrow opinion, and
No, it's an informed opinion as somebody who is in the tourism related field, which is why I was appointed to sit on the committee.
I think we're going off track here. I think we need to get back on track.
Sounds great.
The one thing that we might want to consider is the size of the request. And we have a lot of other requests and we have a limited amount of dollars.
I'm open to. We threw it out there. In the past, we've asked for something, we got way less, and this year, and as we grow, because we're now an ORV park, we ask for more. We're open to anything because all we're trying to do is promote this city.
And I think that's good. And I think you've done a good job. But you might want to check into collecting LTAC for the county if you're in the county, because they do collect tax.
And then you can go.
And you can give them the money and at least somebody will benefit from it.
it's a murky road trying to work with all these different things and working with the county and knowing what department to talk to and whatever. We're getting through there and navigating, but it's not an easy task.
I would hate for them to come back to you and say you owe for all these years that you have.
I would think that would be a bad thing as well, and we sure wouldn't want to do that, but the short story is, we've been in contact with them and working with them now 13 years. I would hope that they would see that.
I'm not turning you in.
Yeah, well, anyway.
I still have a couple of things to say. I think you do an amazing job.
Well, we appreciate that.
I eat it there, which I assume most people do, because great food, number one. I buy the hats, I buy the sunglasses, I buy the grandkids stuff. It is an amazing event. I also sell hats, sunglasses. I don't sell food. It's our business. Our business is tourism related, so we do more promotions and things than the general Kentucky Fried Chicken as I used. And I wanted to clear up, it's not that we can absolutely fund things outside of Sunnyside. I want to clear that up, and I said that. It doesn't matter.
Peggy, I'm sorry to interrupt, but it's getting out of order now. So, because he's already said that we needed to move on. So I believe we do need to move on.
Well, I'm
It's a
not gonna
question,
vote, but
yeah.
I did want to at least have my opinion out there, because I'm not going to vote just because I am an RV park, and I want to make sure that it does not provide conflict to you. And I do not have an answer yet, and this is the biggest thing that needs to be said. I do not have an answer yet if we can, because he doesn't collect the LTAC funds, and because he is in this business, they couldn't give me an answer yet. So I don't know if we even just need to table this and get some clarification.
Well, I was going to say we need to table it because I wanted to ask other members if they saw the articles of incorporation or the business license in the packet. If they didn't, then
Yes,
that was the other.
that was my question, if they had all that information or if
Okay.
it was emailed to Jackie separately or later time.
No, it was all delivered in the packet.
The business license and the articles of incorporation were,
You know what? I may have missed
Okay.
that.
well, just to
I
be
gave the
fair.
CBI number and the tax
Yes.
ID number.
Yeah, I saw that. I just think just to be fair to, because the 509 and Sandy was the same thing. So I was just gonna say table it for a week and then just get that stuff to Jackie. And then once we see that, and then I think that then we can discuss it further. But I didn't have any questions other than that, because I know sometimes things get missed, but it's
Yeah.
just to be fair to every,
That's
Yeah,
fair enough.
everyone.
I did my best to put everything in there, and I'm sure I overlooked
Yeah.
more than one thing.
yeah, no problem. So I just motioned to table this one and give them a week.
I second it.
Okay.
So 1 week to provide a business license.
All the attachments for profit.
Okay.
We have a motion to table it for,
Um,
and then submit documents within a week.
And
Okay,
get the clarification on if we can fund it all.
okay. Second,
I second it already.
okay, any more discussion?
No.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. We'll go to items from committee members, or excuse me, am I doing this right now?
It's up to you if you would like to take a vote on any items that you're sure you want to recommend funding, or if you want to move on and schedule another meeting to do that, you can. It's totally up to you guys.
Can we see our budget for this year? I don't think,
I think that's this right here.
or is it
isn't it?
right there?
And I was going to ask if, reading this correctly. This document, this 2023 account detail that you provided, is the fund balance.
So the fund balance expected at the end of year 2023 is that 241,900, give or take, that's at the bottom of the second page on the right hand. So that will carry over to next year. And then we can, I believe, expect approximately $130,000, give or take, is maybe what we're budgeting for revenue. So I think you could safely award up to about 130,000 with no problems.
Is that already taken out the fee that we take out normally or
For the
no?
building.
For the building?
Yes, that's been considered.
So the 241, and then there's this account detail 264, they don't agree. Is there something I'm missing?
264.
Yeah,
Is it excess and deficit and I just haven't had a chance to really take a look at these.
it says 2023 account detail,
Oh,
264.
correct. This is
239.98.
actuals. And this is just the budget amounts. I'm sorry. So the 2023 column on this document, the budget comparison shows what we budgeted for year 2023, but we're only halfway through the year. The stapled sheet shows the actuals of where we're at year to date.
And you're anticipating 240,000, 241,000 at the end of,
In the fund balance. So that would be split between 125,000 for the convention center. And then the remainder, just a unassigned fund balance.
so like $115,000 is.
Yeah.
You're saying is left over.
Correct.
And then you're anticipating in 2024.
About 130. It's hard to say, though. This year's coming in a little bit lower than last year did, but it's
Yes.
sort of difficult to project.
I can help you with a little bit of that. Okay. So your suggestion to this committee is that we could obligate $100,000 here and not hurt ourselves.
I believe you could actually, because of the fund balance and the potential estimated revenues still coming in, I think you'd be safe to go up to 130, but that's where I would stop. And it's up to you whether or not you want to dip into that, any fund balance. The projected revenue for this year sits about 122,000. So that'll be the decision of the committee.
There's another question I was going to ask, and it's still forming in my brain here. So.
Myself, whenever I spend a lot of money, I like to think about it. I'm not personally. We've heard a lot of things today. I've heard a lot of things today, and we've talked about a lot of money today. I'd like to kind of digest this a little bit and then come back at another time and approve it.
That's fair. Is any of the funds that are set aside for the convention center, are those totally restricted funds? Did we do that to ourselves?
The council did, I believe they did a request to LTAC previously, and LTAC did restrict the funds for a multi-year duration. I would have to pull those old documents, or maybe Jackie knows off the top of her head.
I can pull it up really, maybe like 1 minute.
So just to clarify my request, if they're totally restricted and we run into trouble, we cannot tap them.
Correct.
Okay. So do we have any kind of a reserve other than those, if those are restricted?
We don't have, this is the total fund.
Okay. And the amount that's in the convention center is at this point, $250,000?
No, if you look at the other one, the account detail, there's two lines at the top. 179 is our just unassigned fund balance. And 100,000 was our beginning fund balance for the convention center. So when we end this year, that amount will be 125,000
So it was only 25,000 set aside? in
per year.
So the resolution approved in 2018 says 25,000 or 25%, but we've just always done 25,000 because you don't know what you're gonna get until the previous or future year. Jamie, can you read it? Let me see. I'm trying to. Meeting stated intent
It
sitting,
says
supporting future
at-
design.
it's special meeting. It just says annually, so
Yeah.
it doesn't give an end date. So I suppose the council would need to, yeah, the council would need to say that they no longer want that 25,000 put over.
But if there's 25,000, and again, I'm sorry, I just want some clarification here. The 5-year budget comparison is showing $242,000. And that's at the end of 2023. If only 25,000 of that is to be sent to the,
The column for that says 2022 actual. The bottom line right there,
yes,
447.62 is equal to those two balances on the other sheet added together.
Okay.
So that, like I said, the unassigned balance amount is 179,000. And the assigned balance amount right now is 100,000, but we'll transfer that other 25,000, right? So then if, let's just say we didn't spend any money all this year, then that will, it will be 154.
don't we have obligations?
We do. I'm just saying, we have money coming in and money going out. That's just how it would affect the fund balance. I don't think that the committee should be overly worried about overspending the fund if you stay within the $130,000 based on revenues, expenditures, and the previous fund balance. However, if the committee did not want to spend any more money than we're projected to bring in this year, which is absolutely what you can do, I would suggest not only spending up to about 90,000. However, I do believe that you are capable of allocating up to 130,000.
I was just gonna say, if we could motion whether we're gonna vote on whether we're going to be awarding any money so that people have been sitting here for 2 hours can go or stay. Maybe that, would-
They can stay.
okay,
I would.
I was just-
Like to vote on some of these.
you would,
I would.
okay. So which ones would you like to vote on?
I think we should table the ones that we had asked, wait for those, the ones we had tabled. And then the ones that were here and did give us information, I'd like to vote on those.
Okay, I mean, I have no problem with that. If that's what the committee would like to do, I have no problem with it.
So maybe I can help since I have the ones that are supposed to be tabled. Starting from the top or the bottom, what do you want?
The top.
The top, okay, so that would be Cinco de Mayo, Sunnyside Rotary, and Armando Reyes. So those are the two applicants.
So do we want to talk about the Cinco de Mayo then first? Just
Yeah, we vote on that and then we say,
if there's any comments that need to be made before we take the vote, I mean, you might want to give somebody your last best recommendation.
I will abstain from this discussion because I'm listed as personnel for the Rotary.
So just a thought for you. I like to see the big picture before we start making decisions, because what happened is you have requests in excess, I believe, of the anticipated funds for 2024. So you're going to eat into your leftover from 2023 and 2022. That's not a bad thing, but it would be nice to know what the balance is. And go ahead.
The total requests for this year, if you were to approve everything, only considering one of the Cinco de Mayo events, because I don't believe you would approve all of them, is just shy of $240,000. So yeah, we're quite a ways over that threshold we would want to get to. So you probably do want to look at the big picture at a different meeting.
And I don't think in 2024, I don't know, maybe Cinco de Mayo is the only one that's close enough that they need to start planning now.
are we able to approve the signature events? and then look at what we have left and then kind of budget for the rest. I know we've done that in the past.
You can take that approach if you want.
We are also missing documents such as, some of them aren't critical. I mean, a business license, things like that isn't critical at that point. We can go afterward vote. But on some of them that have been previously funded, we don't have the information of how that worked out. And I think that's critical to know before we vote on some of those things.
Okay, so what are we doing?
And we all meet again in a week, get all the documentation in. We gave them a week to get the required documentation. Somebody at the city is gonna, go through these and find out what's missing and get those documents in. That alone may stop some people from some submittals. Who knows? We don't know what's gonna happen. But then we can have complete applications to review and make the decisions on in a week.
I am not available Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday of next week.
Okay.
So
And today's Wednesday, so it would probably be the first of the next week then.
I'm in town the following week.
That work for you, Amy? Monday or Tuesday of the week after next?
It'd be August, correct?
It would be like August 14th or 15th.
Wednesdays work best, but I mean, if that's what everybody's voting.
Wednesday, August 16th, gives them 2 weeks.
August 14th.
2 weeks from today?
It's the sixth, yeah, it'd be Wednesday, August 16th.
Yeah, it's the 16th, not the 14th.
Okay. That would be fine with me, 2 weeks from today.
Good for Amy, good for me, good for you. What about you, Lindsay?
Yeah, I can do that. Can we do in the morning or are we?
Yes, don't worry, I'll make accommodations.
Tom, do you have any issue, or Amy, do you have any issue with doing it earlier, or is noon work best?
If we get it on the calendar now,
That's how I am right now. Amy,
I'm fine, as long as I know now.
okay, so if we did like a 10, Peggy, would that be okay?
Yeah,
Okay.
thank you. That gives me a little bit of time. Thank you.
Okay. Is that
That
okay?
would work.
Okay. So 10 o'clock
2 weeks
on
from
the
today at 10.
16th, yes.
Okay.
Jamie, does that work for you?
Yes.
Okay.
and where would we meet
And it would be here.
again?
Yes.
And you're saying 10 a.m.
Yes.
Okay. I will make the time.
All right. Counselor Farmer, do you want to do item 2, items from committee members? Items from committee members? Would you like to receive items from committee members?
Yes,
which is
we'll
item
do
2?
items from committee members now. Anybody have anything to bring up?
We had talked about a shareholder stakeholder meeting and a vision planning session. And Trevor was here. I don't know where we're at on that, but I guess I would like an update on that because I think Sunnyside really needs to do that.
You're talking something I don't know anything.
Right, you weren't here and it's crickets.
I think, are you referring to a joint meeting with the Community and Economic Development subcommittee or committee?
And then shareholders in the community, let's get a vision for what we want to do with Sunnyside and tourism.
I will tell you that at this time, as the new staff liaison, I am somewhat confused about what exactly LTAC wants to do based on correspondence that we've received about the level of involvement that they would like from staff. And so I think at this point, we haven't done anything. So I'd be happy to organize that if you would like to reiterate that that's your request.
I would like to reiterate that that is my request.
And I don't know if the other committee members would like to weigh in.
I'd like the meetings not to get to the argumentative state that they have been in the past, as it creates very hostile environment.
I would like to get through this first and then confirm that Tom will be there because he wasn't at the last one where they were there.
I think he was at the one where Trevor presented the stuff, correct?
You were?
I came in late, but yes.
Oh, okay. But I would like to get through this first because it sounds like between discussing YVT and voting that this might take another 2 meetings for this.
Hopefully
So
one.
it would be nice, but I'm not sure if that's going to happen. So I would like to table that until the next meeting. Let's get through the next meeting.
It's gonna take a little while for you to organize it.
It will. I'll start just putting some feelers out to other entities that might want to be involved.
Okay.
Does anybody else have anything else that they want to talk about? Peggy or Amy?
Items, staff members?
I just wanted to briefly go over the packet, which is the audited Cinco de Mayo financials. It's in the paperclip. We don't have to sit here. I know we're kind of at the end. We don't have to sit here and talk about it. I just want to let you know what's in it. So the first page is sort of that same breakdown, but now it's audited and it's caught up with all the expenditures. There is one expenditure that is listed on this, but is not listed on the reports that are the next items because it has yet to be paid. We just received the invoice, I think yesterday or the day before. So there is one additional invoice. I think it's the first, oh no, it's the last one for Armando Reyes in the amount of $12,540. That has not been paid yet, but it has been approved. So it will likely get paid on the 10th or the 9th, I believe, or the 10th, something like that. So behind that cover sheet are the reports of revenue and expenditures. And then every invoice that corresponds with all of the revenues and expenditures is also listed here. Just a couple things to bring to your attention as you go through this. There were a couple changes. So I did do, based on the city manager saying that the city always has a certain amount of overtime for the Cinco de Mayo event. I did do an analysis all the way back as far as I could go, which was 2017. And there is typically increase in overtime for the period that covers Cinco de Mayo. And this year, the increase was the same as it always has been through history. So I did remove like the same percentage of increase over overtime hours from other pay periods to the Cinco de Mayo pay period. The percentage of increase was the same within less than 1%. So I did remove that item as being considered a cost for Cinco de Mayo because it was within the standard of what we have usually done in the past.
You paid $27,000 in overtime for Cinco before? I have no idea. I was not part of it. Please don't consider this insulting in any way. I am completely just asking. It was $27,000 in staff overtime this year.
Because we tracked it specifically, and that's how we know that all of those particular hours were used for overtime. Unfortunately, we don't have the records where we tracked specifically every overtime hour during that pay period. So I couldn't tell you. So what I did is I just pulled all of the years. I looked at the pay periods around it, and I analyzed the typical amount of overtime for all the departments and sort of came up with a guideline. So I can't,
That could be totally biased. That could be year-end closing. I mean, as a government employee, I'm well aware in hours increase at the end of the year to make sure that all the bills get closed and year-end. How would you know that that's for Cinco versus year-end closing? Or employees out on vacation and covering for another employee?
I used the pay periods, the 2 pay periods before Cinco de Mayo, because it's right after spring starts. So we have an increase in Public Works Department staff. And then I went through the Cinco de Mayo pay period and the pay period following it, where things get back down to normal. And so I used that 4 pay period snapshot of all of those years. And I did also exclude 2021 and 2022. 2021, we didn't have a Cinco de Mayo event. and 2022, it was canceled after the shooting incident. In 2022, just to make you aware, there was a lot more overtime than there ever had been, and I believe that that's in response to the fact that there was a shooting, but I don't want to attribute that to Cinco de Mayo, so I excluded it.
So essentially what you did was you normalized.
Correct. And I also did look at the revenue notes and I used CPI to inflate them. I didn't put those numbers on here because there have been other changes that are that yearly trend. In the last few years, the city simply just has had more overtime throughout the entire year than it has maybe in 2020, 2019, 2018. So overtime in general has increased. So it's really hard. There's so many things going into it. It's really hard to extrapolate exactly how the dollar amounts would compare. But to the best of my ability to look at the number of hours, we were only 0.4% different, which equals about 3 hours.
Now, forgive me, I came from a big city and we could not have put on an event like Cinco and had overtime hours without creating a work order and being accurately able to track the hours. I mean, that's how government runs. Is that not something that's done because Sunnyside is small? I'm very big on, if we spent $27,000 on overtime, I want to see that line recorded. I don't want to hear it's been normalized into it. If that is an expense, I want to see it listed as an expense. It can be explained, but budget is, I mean, numbers are numbers.
Right, and all of that overtime was accounted for this year because it was a special situation. But unfortunately, I am not sure whether or not I could even get that data, how separate departments have approved or tracked their overtime. Every
Set up work orders for events.
Every department handles, and every department director informs their supervisors on how to handle timesheets and recording of overtime. Unfortunately, that's not something that rises to
Or level.
correct.
Do you do work orders?
I don't know. I know that they have a new system called OpenGov that they're using for public works and the development side of business for Sunnyside that does have work orders associated with it. But I'm frankly not sure what they were using before they put that into place. I don't know.
At police departments, if they have a special DUI emphasis, a work order would be created. All items associated with the cost of that event are then tracked. But it sounds like that's not something we do here.
No, they do that. The department independently reports those hours and logs them to the grant. But I can't, that's how the police department does it. I don't know how, I know how they do it because they do grant funds and we go for reimbursement for those. So I have all of those reports. Having not looked at like our public works department and how they handle work orders, I do not have that information. And they're the staff that does a lot of the work in setup for Cinco de Mayo that actually had a good portion of those hours.
Well, I just make a recommendation going forward. If it ever becomes an issue, that would be something really wonderful on any of these signature events, just to create a work order and track the time and get accurate costs, the regular time and overtime attributed to an event. And then we actually have the right information and not normalized information.
I agree with you. And I think that was the intent of tracking it this year, that we would do that going forward. But unfortunately for the comparison factor of the event to previous year's events,
Do it.
no.
Understand.
I don't know if it's possible, if it's just in addition to this, but for our next meeting, if you could on one page, just give us the big picture.
Mhm.
That would be,
I was also planning to do a sort of recommendation cover sheet, but that's another thing based on correspondence that happened between meetings. I wasn't sure whether or not LTAC wanted me to do that. So I was putting together a cover sheet for each one of the programs that listed whether or not they met all of the requirements for the application, and whether or not it meant the intent of the funds, to fill that out just to provide as a cover sheet. I stopped that work based on feedback I got from LTAC, but I'm happy to resume doing that and present it to you that way. I could possibly even get that done for the next meeting, depending on time, but is that what LTAC would like for me to do?
I'll answer it and you guys can answer it too. I believe you wage war with many counselors. I'd appreciate that.
Thank you.
I'm good with the cover page. I've made my own for the past 5 years, so.
Okay, we set a date for the next meeting, or do we need to set another date for another meeting?
I just wanted to clarify something because we all received an email with answers to, I don't know if everybody saw it on there, and I just wanted to clarify that my name was on there, and I did talk to Luis, and Luis said that that was false, and he would come to either talk to LTAC or come to council and clarify what really happened.
I'm a little in the dark.
So there was an email sent out with questions, and on there Jackie answered them, and on there, I guess you can say it says that I was blamed for a certain situation. So I went to the source, and because I have text messages between me and Luis, and Luis said that's not what happened, and he was more than happy to come clarify it with LTAC or go in front of city council and clarify why they didn't participate. So I just wanted to clarify that because I don't want to get blamed for something.
Are you referring to the Charo event? Just so I'm trying to understand.
Nothing to do with me.
Is that?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, if you need to clear your name, by all means, do it.
That's all. Yeah.
You have anything, Lindsay?
No, I do not have any items.
Okay. And I don't, except for wow. Future agenda items?
Well, that was what I had mentioned to her about the.
That was vision, yeah, Jameson.
Well, at this point, we have the next meeting scheduled for 2 weeks. I think what I'm understanding from the committee is that you would like me to present a one-sheet budget sort of showing all the money that we have plus the requests and how that would affect the funds. And then if I get time, I can try to do those cover sheets for you, but hopefully those that we're going to ask for more information will have provided that. And so that may not be necessary, depending on.
And I don't think it was clear, but the first one, Armando doesn't have a lot of his attachments. I don't think nobody told him. So if there could be an email sent out.
I think all of them are missing something, so somebody is gonna.
Yeah, I know we
Go through.
mentioned to the other ones that if they could please, or I know we told Jackie to please email them, but I don't think it was mentioned when he came up and spoke that he was missing articles in his paperwork.
Jamie, and for him, you'll probably have to, I don't know what the requirements are because he listed himself as an individual. So I don't know what.
Yeah, I'll go through it when I.
Because it does say individual for profit, so.
I was going to comment the same thing. I believe that the first two, Peggy, you're the one that mentioned that the ones that you had looked at that didn't have documents. And I think that the first two applications, I thought she mentioned both didn't have documents, but we didn't table them. We started doing that a little bit later. So I'll review all of them.
Some of them needed to be tabled because they were missing key things in regards to needing to vote. We needed the financial information. Some of them were just missing like a copy of a business license that we could probably vote on and just not pass forward. I'm just a big believer. This is something my name is on, and we need to have the documents if the documents are required. If we don't need the documents, then let's take it off of the requirement list. It's very simple.
But we do need them, as far as I know, the RCW.
As far as I
states
know
that we
as
do have to have
well.
them.
I
So,
just,
but I do know, for me, when I was going through them, I was just double checking. So on the Rotary one, they had everything in the parade. You know, all their, everything was in there at the parade. So, and the same thing with 509 Insanity. So that's kind of, but then they were still missing stuff. So, but I did go through everything and you are correct. The first one for Cinco de Mayo was missing everything. That's when it's a couple things, you kind of try to look past it, but like she said, it is hard when it's required of the state for us to do it. So it would be good to have.
I'll send correspondence to all of the applicants to let them know what they need to provide.
Okay.
Well, thank you for putting up with me today. If there's no objection, we'll adjourn the meeting. Meeting's adjourned.